I know I don't want anybody forcing me to believe what they believe. I don't want them shoving their belief system down my throat without me getting a say in it. And so I don't want anybody else to have that experience with me either. I just share with them what my belief system is just by the things that I talk about, just by the vibration that I'm in, and just by my language. If they want some of the goodness, then they get to come along. If they want some of the light and some of the expansion, they get to come along. And if not, that's okay too. Hey there, prosperity seeker. Welcome to the Prosperity Approach. I'm your host, Allyson Chavez, and I am thrilled that you've joined me for today's episode. Before we dive into this, though, if you're listening to the audio version of this episode, make sure that you're following this podcast on your favorite app. And if you're watching this on YouTube right now, be sure that you click that red subscribe button below and click on the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time a new episode is released. So I sent out a questionnaire to a bunch of my clients and a bunch of people in my Facebook groups. And I said, hey, what would you like me to talk about on podcasts? And I got a slew of answers, which was so helpful. And I was so excited with all the different topics that they wanted me to talk about. And one of them said, how do you manage relationships or maintain a high vibration or even have conversations with people in your life that think this is all woo-woo? That think you're just way too happy. And why are you looking on the bright side of everything? Don't you know the world is falling apart? They're not quite so chicken little about everything, but it can be a time of upheaval as you are up-leveling yourself and the way that you're viewing life and your perspective and your belief system and all of that. And when your family and your close friends are like, what kind of Kool-Aid did she drink? It can feel very, very intimidating, because one of the things that's really important to divine feminine and to empowered feminine is that sense of community. And really, divine masculine has this same need as well. We all have a basic need to belong. And so when we are kind of moving away from our tribe just a little bit or changing the status quo, naturally, we're going to get some pushback around this. And what we're generally taught to do is don't rock the boat, right? Just like keep this to yourself, keep this on the down low. But as you are learning more about yourself and you are honoring your desires and the desires of your heart and what makes you tick, and you're really wanting to experience greater and greater levels of prosperity and possibility, you can't help but change your language around it. You can't help but change the way that what you're sharing with people, the way that you're expressing yourself. Like, your light shines brighter when you allow yourself to be in these higher and higher calibrations of vibration. And so we tend to think that people around us will appreciate this new version of us, and they don't. A lot of the times, because they're not used to it. They don't know how to deal with this perspective of you that doesn't complain so much or doesn't dive off the cliff with them. Or have you noticed mass consciousness has us all moving under a bridge if things don't go our way? Like, if this work project doesn't pan out, we're all going to be living under a bridge. Like, from one day to the next, from Tuesday to Wednesday, we'll lose our house and we'll all be living under a bridge. Or there's Armageddon and there's no food and there's no toilet paper and there's no hope and there's nothing left. And mass consciousness and society just has us jumping up off all of these cliffs all of the time. So what do we do about that? Like, it's really easy to just ignore society, quite honestly. Stop looking at all of your feeds on your social media accounts. Stop looking at the news all the time, and really just trust that if there's something important for you to know, that information will find its way to you. If it's important that you know that. That's the theory, and that's the belief system I've subscribed to for years. It has saved me so much headache, so much fear, so much anger, especially during election season. And I have gotten the information that I need when I need it. And it's come in the form of other people, generally is where it comes with. But boy, that has saved me such fear and saved me a lot of anxiety and angst over the years. So I recommend that you do that too. But what do we do with the people around us? We can't just shut out our spouse, right? We can't just not talk to our adult children or our best friends or coworkers. Like, how do we manage that when they just are not wanting to get on board with this new way of thinking and this new way of living and this new way of being? So the first thing that I had to do, because I experienced this as well with my husband, was I had to let everybody be okay where they were on their own journey. We tend to go through to one extreme or another. So we either get into alliance with somebody's fear, which means we believe their fear and we dive into the rabbit hole of fear with them. No, we can't change because what if it's worse than it is right now? The devil you know is better than the devil you don't. All of that theory. And so I would dive into that fear and just that desire to remain in status quo for years and for decades. I would do that. So I would go into alliance or compliance with that, or we go into defiance, right? And we make everybody wrong. Why don't you see things my way? I'm so much happier than I ever was before. Why can't you just join me? And we try to pull the donkey with us, right? And the more we pull on that donkey and try to force the donkey to see things our way and to go the path we want to take, the more that donkey digs in its heels. And no, I'm saying donkey for a reason. They're not being a jackass about anything. We might think they are, but we're not allowing them their choice of experience. Even though we are feeling better, we are feeling more expansive, we are feeling more lit up, we're feeling safer, we're feeling more confident in our path and learning to follow the nudges and recognizing the nudges and like all those things is leading us to feel better and better and better. And we're like, why wouldn't a sane, rational person just immediately see the goodness in this and jump on this wagon with me? Well, it's because of conditioning, and it's because of their own beliefs and their own perspective and their own experiences that they had in life separate from you. And so what helped me was to give permission to for everybody to be on the journey that they are on and to take the journey at their own pace. Now, I like to move fast. I do everything fast. I talk fast. I do energy work fast. I get stuff done. I write fast. Like everything I do fast. But my husband doesn't. My husband now I like to research, but I give myself a small window of research so that we can make a decision and move forward. And my husband likes to spend a lot of time in the research process. He's very thorough with that so that when he's making a decision, he feels really confident that this is the best next step that we're going to take in a dog door or in the gazebo that he put up or in any of those things. He likes to do his research, which is wonderful. It's a wonderful quality that he has, because I know he's put in the time and he's like, well, I feel good about this. I'm like, boom, let's go ahead and do it. I don't care so much about that, but like, let's go ahead and do it. If you're feeling great, then we're great. And so his pace, especially at the beginning, was much different from mine, but I let it be okay for both of us to be where we were going the pace we were each going independent of each other. So I think that's the first ground rule to lay down when you're up leveling and others around you that are important to you and that are in your circle of influence just aren't ready to do that yet. Also, understanding that their journey isn't your journey. Now, I've had to come to grips with this with my children that make decisions that I don't agree with, and they take paths that I don't agree with as well. I've had children, just like if you've had children, they've probably made choices that you don't agree with. I've had a couple of my kids for a period of time just decide there really wasn't a God, or if there was a God, they didn't really care to get to know God. And that first tore me to pieces, because that is that is part of my identity, is my relationship with my higher power, with my Heavenly Father. And they were choosing something different. And I had to let that be okay. I really had to come to terms with that was their choice and their decision. And they were still wonderful people. But their journey is not my journey, and it's not supposed to be. It's not meant to be. All of our journeys are very uniquely ours. And so just know their journey isn't yours, but that also does not give you permission to stop your journey. And I think this is what we do as women. We like defer to everybody else's wants and needs before our own because we're taught, don't upset the apple cart, don't rock the boat, live in your box, stay in your place, right? So we have like generations and hundreds and hundreds of years of that kind of programming going on. And so we just defer to everybody else's journey and we don't give ourselves permission to continue to go on our journey. But understand this, your family members and the people that are closest around you, first of all, they're not mind readers and they don't know what your destiny is. And they're not in charge of your destiny. Just like you're not in charge of their destiny and you're not a mind reader for them either. But you still need to take your journey. It's your responsibility. If you're going to lead with empowered feminine, if you're going to open yourself up to possibilities, if you're going to continually ask yourself, how good am I willing to let life get and ascend to that next level of success without struggling your way to it or clawing your way to it, but using your divine gifts and your skills and your talents to assist you in that, in guiding you through your journey. You do 3 things when you live in that kind of energy. You understand that it's your responsibility to listen to yourself. It's your responsibility to show up for yourself. And it's your responsibility to take a stand for what your truth is. In other words, you don't need permission from anybody except yourself and God to dance and to dance in your way. Now, my daughter is 15 at the time of this recording, and she has a love of K-pop, in particular, BTS. And K-pop is Korean pop music, and BTS is a fantastic band, quite honestly. She has opened up my eyes to a new culture and different experiences, and it has been wonderful. And I really like BTS as well. And they came out with a new song called Permission to Dance. And it just talks about we don't need permission to dance. Part of the chorus is no need to talk the talk, just walk the walk. Because we don't need permission to dance. And there's no need to worry because when we fall, we know how to land. Like those lyrics, I've just let them play over and over and over in my mind to realize like, we're okay. And I love that they didn't say if you fall, you'll know how to land or you'll figure it out on the way down. It's when we fall, because falling is part of our whole journey. It's part of it. And it's okay. It doesn't mean that you've left your path. It doesn't mean that you're making all of these horrific mistakes, although sometimes we are making mistakes for sure, and they cause us to fall, but it's part of the journey. But you know how to land. You know how to land so that your landing is soft and it doesn't jar you and it doesn't injure you. When you fall, you know how to land. There's no need to worry. Because when you fall, you know how to land. No need to talk the talk, just walk the walk. And this is what I think really is important to understand when you got people that just don't want to get on board with you and this new way of thinking and speaking and all of that. You don't need to convince anybody to be happy and to do things your way. Just walk the walk. Just continue to do it. You're going to get some ribbing. You're going to get some skepticism. You're going to get sometimes people just making fun of you and wanting to make you wrong for the way that you're seeing things. Let them. It's okay. They get to be where they're at and you get to be where you're at. And here's one thing that I have come to know from personal experience. We are wired for higher vibrations. We're wired for joy. We're wired for expansion. We will consistently be called upon to expand. And your money can only grow to the extent that you do. Your prosperity, your relationships, your level of spirituality, your health can only grow to the extent that you do. So as you continue to grow, others will feel that. They will feel a difference in you. And most of them won't be able to put their finger on it, but they'll make little snide comments at first about drinking the Kool-Aid and about, what have you been smoking? And you're like, life. I've been smoking life. I've been smoking joy. I've been smoking relaxation like that. Like this is my new drug, is this possibility and this expansion. You can just answer them and they'll just be like whatever, but don't take it personally. But here's the thing, as you continue to just stay calibrated to that, and you stay on that vibration and looking at life through a different lens, not through a lens of naivete, not through a lens of denial, not through a lens of like, la, 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 although sometimes we do need to do that, but just focusing on what it is you want and continually moving toward what it is you want. They're watching. They're watching to see what you do with hope that it will work, because they want it to work for them, but they haven't believed that it would. So you're the model for them. Just walk the walk. When I first learned, I started with energy work and learning how to read energy and move energy because we're all vibration. And so we need to get out of those lower vibrations and emotions that keep us stuck. And there's a very practical way that we do that. So as I was doing that, everything was up leveling the way that I was looking at things. And I started as a natural outcropping of my experiences. My language started to change. And I started expressing gratitude for everything because I was linking all of the good things, especially the small good things to my life, to God, and the fact that God loved me and he was walking with me. And this meant that he loved me. And so I would express gratitude for everything. And I would do it, especially for green lights. And I would just thank my angels for everything. So anytime I'm trying to get over 3 lanes of traffic or turn left during rush hour, I would ask my angels to open up a space, and they would always open up a space within just a few seconds. And then I'd say, oh, thank you, angels. So I would just say that out loud all the time. Well, Jeremy, my amazing, sexy husband, would rib me just a little bit. But I kept doing it. I was just like, I know it's fun. It's silly, but I like doing it. And there was one time he was driving and we hit a green light and he said, oh, thank you, green light angels. And then he said, oh man, I'm starting to sound like you. And I just laughed. I didn't take it as offensive or anything. I just laughed. And I'm like, yeah, our angels are great, aren't they? And, I didn't make a big deal out of it one way or another. It was just really fun to see that my walking the walk was starting to influence him. And it was starting to rub off on him just a little bit. And it's so fascinating now to see over the years that we've been doing this. At first when I would say, that just doesn't resonate with me, he would scoff at me with the new language I was using. And now he talks about what he resonates with and what he doesn't resonate with. Nope, not resonating with that. That does not resonate. Oh, this resonates with me. Like it's been really, really interesting to hear his language speak as well, or to hear his language change as well, because he's seeing the proof. If nothing else, I'm happier. Like, let it be simple. The only thing we're after is a sense of happiness and greater joy. That's really what we're here for. And so they will come along at their own time and on their own pace. They will come along because that's what we're naturally wired for. We're wired for happiness. We're wired for joy. We're wired for contentment. We're wired for community. We're wired for all of those higher vibrations. And some of us take a little bit longer to get there than others, but it's okay. Trust that they'll come along. And if they don't, their behavior will have to change to match yours whenever they're with you. So they'll either stop complaining to you when they're around you because that doesn't match where you're at, or they will just naturally fall out of your life. And this kind of happens with coworkers and with friends and our family generally. Like if they're toxic and they need to fall out, then they'll fall out of your life, but they'll do it in a way that is just filled with ease and with joy and with blessings for everyone. But trust that they'll come along. Just walk the walk. Don't convince them of anything. Just model for them. And then they get to make their own choice. I know I don't want anybody forcing me to believe what they believe. I don't want them shoving their belief system down my throat without me getting a say in it. And so I don't want anybody else to have that experience with me either. I just share with them what my belief system is just by the things that I talk about, just by the vibration that I'm in, and just by my language. And then if they want some of the goodness, then they get to come along. If they want some of the light and some of the expansion, they get to come along. And if not, that's okay too. You don't need permission to dance from anybody except yourself and God. And then if they want to join you in the dance, then they will. And that's okay. The final point that I want to make is know your audience. All right. There are some people in my life that I don't share what I'm learning, that I don't share my perspective's not the right word so much, but I don't talk to them about energy work, or I don't talk to them about possibilities so much, or at least not in an outward way. If people are thinking that what you're doing is woo-woo, or it's something that you can't rely on, or this is just like happiness mumbo jumbo, then I'm not going to try to convince them. And that's not my mission, to make them see things my way. And so I just know your audience. I know that there are some people in my life that I don't have conversations about huge possibilities and huge dreams, because they're not there. They would just rather complain, because isn't that what we're taught to do? We're just taught to complain about everything all the time and to feel disempowered and not want to change anything in our life, because we don't feel like we have the power to actually do it. We have to wait for circumstances to change before we can actually change our circumstances. That kind of is the belief of the masses. I was certainly there for a very, very long time, so I can have massive amounts of compassion for that. And so I know that we probably shouldn't be talking about like what we're up to, because it just causes upset in the conversation. But nor do I have to like go into a big complain fest for 2 hours over dinner. I can change the subject. Or I can say, oh, but it's really great that this happened. I remember we had, when I was working for the family business, there was a production manager who was just a grumpy Gus all the time. And I had so much fondness for her. She has since passed away, but she was a remarkable woman, but one of the most negative people I've ever met. And I don't know why I sort of have this affinity for people that are just grumpy Gusses. It's not so much that I want to change their grump. I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I'll just spend some time with them and see what happens. I don't know. But I remember one time she said, you know what, Allyson, you're kind of okay. Like I enjoy being around you, except you're a little too cheerful most of the time. She didn't say it in this exact way. She did say I was too cheerful, but it was kind of the impression of you should dial down the cheer. And I was just like, oh, well, thank you. And anytime there was complaining, I would just find the silver lining in it, just kind of naturally, like, oh, well, it's a good thing that we don't live in that state, right? Oh, it's a good thing that things work out for us, and they would just like scoff and be like, oh, whatever, there's Allyson on her happy juice again. And yet I believe that they left the conversation a little bit uplifted from when they came into it. But I didn't go into, hey, so-and-so, you really should turn around your thinking and your thoughts and your words. Be really careful about your language, like know your audience. She would not have been open to that at all. But when I just would smile and just say, oh, but the sky is blue and it's a beautiful day today and it's warm and I love being warm. Don't you love being warm? Then it's just kind of like, it's kind of a backdoor way to just give them something to smile about. So if you've got lots of grumpy Gusses in your life, know your audience. They really don't appreciate your cheerful outlook on life when they, have that dark cloud of gloom around them. If you've got some Eeyores in your life, it's okay. Don't try to change them. We get pretty resentful when others try to change us, don't we? And so you're not on a mission to change anybody except yourself. And it's okay if they think you're woo, and it's okay if they think that you're weird, and it's okay. Now, if they're abusive about it, if they're toxic about it, then definitely, I'm going to really, really limit my time around this person. If it's somebody that you have to spend some time around, and if that's a spouse, then so be it. Limit your time with them. You can even tell them, I have been in so much anger for so long, and I've realized it's because we have these conversations and I just get so worked up around them and I don't like the way I feel. Do you notice how it's just about how you're feeling? It's not you should change this. It's just I just don't feel good at the end of these conversations. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to either change the subject if we start going down this path, we both start getting really upset, or I'm just going to walk away. just because I don't like how I feel. So if you warn them about it beforehand when they're kind of in a good state, then nobody's wrong. You're just like, oh, I went there again and I don't want to go there anymore because it's not good for my blood pressure. And I'm really trying to be more aware and just practice some more happiness. And so I'm going to leave the conversation. Nobody's wrong. Nobody's being judged. Nobody's being censured. It's just, this isn't working. Oh, this isn't working. And I dove in here again. Oh, darn it. Okay, I'm going to leave the conversation. Is it easy to do? No, especially not at first because we're so addicted to drama. But know that you can continue to stay in high vibe, to maintain relationships and to still have conversations who aren't on the same track as you are. And you serve as a very, very powerful model and a very, very powerful example for them. And they can join you if they want. That doesn't matter. All you know is at the end of the day, you get what you want and you feel good. And that's what it's all about. Now, if you are wanting your own brand of crazy and you want a community of people who understand you and who aren't going to talk down to you because you're expressing gratitude to your green light angels, come on over to my Facebook group. It's totally free. It's called the Prosperity Experience. I'm in there every Wednesday. We do Wednesday Wisdom, and I'm giving boots on the ground, practical strategies to have more prosperity in your life and to open yourself up for more and more goodness to find you and come to you and for you to experience. So hop on over to Facebook, go to the Prosperity Experience, ask to join, and let's stay connected there. And until next time, remember, prosperity becomes you.